Good evening, you handsome lot. And on the ramp today, I have got a 2007 Mercedes CLS 320D. And unfortunately, this old bus has failed its MOT on brake pipes. So shall we get the vehicle up in the air and have a little look and see what's going on and see what we've got to replace? Now, before we go sending this vehicle up in the air, what we're going to be doing is getting a little bar and going off the seat, which I'll show you, off the seat to the brake pedal, and we're going to use a seat at our advantage because it's an electrical seat, and we're just going to slide it forward and apply a little bit of pressure on that brake pedal, and you will see later on in the video why I'm doing that. As you can see, I've got this vehicle up in the air. Now, there's not much to see because we have got plastic covers absolutely everywhere. Now, the ones we need to change, let me have a little, where's my little torch gone? Where's my torch gone? Are from front to rear. Have a little look, just pull that cover down. I don't know whether you can see them, but they are heavily corroded. Whenever you're doing brake lines on vehicles, you can never really give an accurate price on it because the simple reason being, you might need to replace that much, which is corroded, but to find a good bit of pipe, it might be the full length of the vehicle, and you don't know whether you're going to be running into seized bleed nipples, whether they come undone from the flexible brake hoses, they come from the chassis to the suspension arms. You just don't know, but we're going to have a little look and see how bad this one is and see if it is just the pipes that we need to change. Me being me, I haven't really been well prepared in this because the car's got locking wheel nuts and I've left a locking nut inside the car, so we're going to have to drop it back down so we can get these back wheels off. Oh well. Right, well now I've got them back wheels off, you do have to remove the inner wheel arch just by here, just to get a little bit of access. And you can see, them pipes are heavily corroded and the unions, well, that's another story, there's nothing left of them. But I think what we're going to do, just to try and get ahead of ourselves a little bit, before, obviously we know that we've got to replace these pipes. Pipes are pipes. We're going to see if the bleed nipples undo on both sides. Of course, all these vehicles, especially in these Welsh mountains, they do get very dirty. But if you keep your floor nice and clean as you're going along and brush all that mud that's going to fall out of them wheel arches, a clean working area helps the job. I think personally, a clean area makes the job a little bit easier. Well, believe it or not, them bleed nipples with a little bit of a clean with a wire brush, they both have come undone relatively easy. Now the reason why I've done these first is because there's nothing worse changing the pipes, coming to bleed the calipers or bleed the lines and the nipple stuck and you're spending hours. But at least I think if you go 10 minutes, I think on jobs like this, plan ahead of yourself, you're not going to be running into them problems. But that is just my way of thinking. A horrible task of getting all these plastic under trays off. They are a pain, if you ask me. Millions and gazillions of screws just for a little bit of plastic. Anyway, let's get them off. After about 200 hours, we've got all these plastic trims off. Well, not 200 hours, but you know what I mean. Right, these brake pipes now, they are clean to halfway down the car. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to join them because we're not going, there's nothing wrong with them pipes. We're going to join them from there back. Exactly the same on the other side. These are like brand new as well. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. Get them replaced. Let's move back now into the inner wheel arch. Now, the unions here, they are heavily corroded. So what I've done, got my wire brush on my drill, give it a little bit of a clean rooney. Now, it doesn't look as if it's going to come undone. So what we're going to do is grab a pair of wire cutters and we're going to cut that brake pipe flush, pull that pipe out of the way. Now we might have a little bit of a chance if we can get a bit of a socket on it or a single hex spanner. Right, well, unfortunately things have got a little bit drastic. The little clips round there, they were rotten as a pear and they just completely disintegrated. But I've had to get a little bit physical with it, a pair of mole grips. And what I've had to do as well, also, if I can show you, is get the pickler heat inductor and literally be careful with it and just put a tiny little bit of heat through it, leave it for a couple of seconds, and it did just come undone. Now what I have done, I've ordered them new clips from Mercedes. They shall be with me tomorrow. We can now go ahead and cut that rest of the pipe and get it off. And the same applies to this driver side. What we're going to be doing, I've cut the pipe off. Just going to flick the heat inductor on now. And we're just going to be, you'll see how safe this inductor is now. Like, if you were to have a naked flame, you'd have to worry about all this insulation and one thing and another. We're just going to generally just warm it up. Don't want to go too mad because you will damage the flexi. Leave the heat go through it for a second. And then we're going to grab some more grips. We're going to see if it does come undone. Got two choices in it. It either does. I can't see it under myself. Good pair of grips. Clamp it up. Yeah, look at that, eh? That's come undone. Get a smaller pair of grips now. And that is what I like about that pickler heat inductor, because you're not worrying about a naked flame, and it puts, well, and it localizes the heat to where you put it. Look at that. Beautiful. After we've got that job out of the way, what we need to do now, take a vehicle up in the air and we're going to cut the brake pipe. Obviously, we're going to cut it where it's good, because you don't want to cut it where it's bad. Now think back to the beginning of the video where I put that bar on the brake pedal. Now when I cut this brake pipe now, we're going to try and cut it, rather than on a bend, you want it on a straight piece. Now I think, you might not be able to see this because it is a bit crap to see. I think we're going to cut it about by there on a straight piece, which will give us enough room to flare it and join it. Going back to that bar on the pedal, beginning of the video, have you noticed something? There's no brake fluid leaking out that pipe. Oh, in all fairness, I did start this job late in the day. Now we are on 4:30-ish. Now we haven't got to worry about now overnight trying to block that pipe up, dripping all over your floors. It's not going to leak. It's perfect. That's a brilliant little tip of the day. Tip of the week. Tip of the week. I thought I'd just show you the condition of how bad these old pipes were. That one literally snapped. I should imagine if this customer was to put his foot on the brake for an emergency stop, that pipe would have burst. Well, unfortunately, we have run into the next day, so it is now Wednesday. Should we go ahead and get some brake pipes made up for this car? And I have got a little bit of a tip of the day for you. A little bit of a tip which is going to help you flare steel brake pipes. I'm not going to be using anything other than a little fancy, and it's only very cheap as well, brake pipe flaring tool. Now, for those that know and those that don't know, steel brake pipes are very, very hard to put a bit of a flare on it, because steel's a lot harder and you can't really squash it as much. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you a little bit of a tip. What we're going to be using is a little bit of sandpaper or emery cloth, whatever you want to use. We're going to give that pipe a little bit of a roughen up. Now after you've roughed that little pipe up on the end, you don't want to go too mad. get yourself some valve cutting paste, because it is quite rough and coarse. And we're just going to put it around the pipe. You can probably see where this is going. And we're going to put our little tool on, get that end flared. Now once you've got your tool connected to that brake pipe and everything's nice and tight, when you're aligning the brake pipe up, obviously there is a little stop, which put the pipe at the correct distance that you need to squash it. Now for this end, we're going to be using an OP1. Let me just dangle that pipe there for a second. There is 2 different ends, whether it be an OP2 and an OP1. Now the OP1, you just squash that in first, but if you need to make like an open flare, you need to use the OP1 first, that one, and then flip it over and squash it with that end. But we're going to be using just that end. Right. Now what a lot of people do, and they get the mistake of, when you're flaring it, just get your spanner and wind it up quickly. Don't. As you're winding it up, work it backwards and forwards, and that's going to make the perfect flare. And once you've flared it, it should look, you're probably not going to see it any good, a little bit like that. Perfect. Right, let's get this copper pipe made. Now on these copper pipes, when you get your pipe cutters, you have to be careful, because, I don't know whether you'll be able to see this, because the ends of them, can you see how it makes them almost round, oval? A little bit like that. You need to get yourself a file, a flat file, and a pick, and just flatten off the end of that pipe, and put your pick in there, like that, and round it off, so that pipe looks perfect. And there we go, that is one brake pipe now, flared to match the other side. Perfect. Well, now that pipe's nice and joined, what we're going to be doing is go ahead and get it routed up to the mounting on the chassis up there for the flexible brake hose. And how we're going to be bending the pipe is with these. And again, they weren't very much, they weren't very expensive, and it bends them absolutely perfect. Well, with a little bit of magic now, them pipes are made, and I've run them all pretty much as they should be, pretty much identical. Now I have put off the old pipes, the rubber sleeves, both sides, as they run up the chassis. Now, let me just put my light there. Now remember where I joined them here, right? See these? Off the bottom of valves, tyre valves. Put a slit in it. Slide it over. And that way, a little bit like that, it's never going to rattle. I can't do it one-handed. Yeah, I can. I'm going to do it one-handed. Can I? Can't I? Yeah, we've done it one-handed. And that now is going to keep it nice and secure and stop it from vibrating. Over the years with these old Mercedes, whenever like a brake pipe has burst and you've pumped all that fluid out of the system, you do have to activate the ABS pump to get all the air out of the system. But because we haven't lost any fluid, because I put my bar on the pedal to start with, which I have removed, which by there, we're going to go ahead now and bleed the brake system. And what we're going to be using is a Launch Pro Brake 1, and we're going to get this set up to 2 bar of pressure, send it back up in the air, and get the back brakes bled. With a correct spanner on the bleed nipple, because we know at the beginning of the video we slackened them off, we've got a catch bottle. All we're going to do now is open that bleed nipple, and you should see. Will it focus? Will it focus? All that air coming out. You'll see it coming in a second. You can see it all up there. Here it comes. Got some good brake fluid coming through now. And we're going to repeat this process on the other side. With everything bled, now jump in the car and make sure that you've got a good pedal. Which I don't know if you can see. That pedal is rock hard. Give it a big start up. And make sure that pedal isn't going to the floor. And obviously you are going to get a little bit of sinking, obviously, because the servo's doing its job. But that pedal now feels perfect. Once you're happy with everything inside the vehicle, before we put all these horrible plastic trims back on, we can go now and have a little inspector gate on all our joints and make sure that none of them are leaking and they're all bone dry, which they are. Right, let's go ahead now with a little bit of magic, get these trims back on. Just like that, with a little bit of magic, that car, we've done a lot of magic on this video. But anyway, that car now is all sorted. We've got a good brake pedal, we've got the wheels now that are torqued up to manufacturer's spec. This car now can go for and get its MOT certificate, because I'm happy with them brake pipes. I hope you lot are happy with them brake pipes. And if you liked the video, I'm sorry it's a little bit long-winded, but that's what it takes. It's not, oh, it's only a pipe, mate, can you just put a pipe on for me? It's not. You've just seen the lengths that we do have to go to finish these jobs and get them done. But anyway, if you've liked the video, please click that like and subscribe. And of course, we'll see you on the next one. Let's get a sim.